Welcome to Pastor's Chat today. Well, we're looking at Luke chapter 7, and the chapter begins with Jesus healing a centurion's servant from a distance. This man loved this centurion, this Roman centurion loved the Jews. He built him a synagogue. He loved his servant. He was a man who loved others. He put others before himself, it sounds like. He was a man of humility, that he would say, Lord, I'm not worthy that you would even come into my house. But he was most of all a man of faith. And Jesus connected his faith to his understanding of authority. Now, the principle of authority in the scriptures is a very, very important principle. You know, one of the things that we have to deal with as we deal with life, especially as a young person and then getting into our adult years, is understanding the principle of authority. Most of us have a spirit of rebellion in us. When we're young and the parents say, don't do this, there's something inside of us that says, no, I want to do it and I'm going to do it. It's called the spirit of rebellion. And then as we get older, if we're not understanding of this principle of authority, in other words, God has placed authorities over us. And this is not so that we are hindered or we're like in prison and we're restrained from living a good life. But actually the principle of authority is to protect us, to guide us, to help us, to give us a hedge of protection around us. Whenever we're willing to come under authority, we will find that we're really free. Authority actually does not put us in a bind. It literally releases us from the bondage of Satan. We either submit to Satan's authority in our life or we submit to God's authority. How do we submit to God's authority? We submit to God's authority by submitting to the authorities that have been placed over us. For instance, in the family, we have Christ, who is the head of the home. Then we have the dad, who is the head under Christ. And then under Christ, we have under the husband, we have the mother, and then we have the children. And so God has an order. In government, God has an order. And he teaches us, Romans 13, we're submit to the authorities over us, even pay taxes. Why? Because they are appointed by God. Jesus told Pilate, you would have no authority of all if it hadn't been my Father in heaven. He's the one that gave you that authority. Now, here's what this centurion understood. He understood this principle of authority. And when you submit to authority like he did, because he said, I'm a man under authority. When I'm told to do something, I do it. He says, but when I also tell others under me to do it, I expect them to do it, and they do it. And boy, we have order. We don't have confusion. And then we have the fact that we can live in peace and get along with each other, and honestly, we're set free from rebellion. Rebellion that keeps us in bondage to doing what self wants to do rather than Christ wants us to do. And so, you can either live under the few principles that we find in Scripture for life, or you can decide to have to live under rules. And the more you're irresponsible for your actions and your attitudes, I can tell you this, the more rules that are going to be placed upon you by the government and the authorities around you to restrain you, rule after rule. But when you teach the children to live by principle, you're not going to have to make as many rules. But the more times they break principles and violate principles, then the more rules you have to place over them. Very important principle. Freedom comes from submitting to authority. And when you do, you recognize the authority of God. And my friend, the authority of Jesus Christ. He has all things put under his feet. He speaks the word and the storm stops. He speaks the word and the worlds are created. I mean, he has all authority in heaven and earth. And when you submit to his authority, you can trust him to take care of any and every need in your life, and you are free to enjoy the life that he intended you to enjoy. I hope you look this up and read this carefully, and you'll find that you're free when you trust Christ's authority over your life. God bless you, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day.